We start with breaking news. Russian news agencies are reporting that Mikhail Gorbachev, the former Soviet leader who helped bring the Cold War to a peaceful conclusion, has died. He was 91 years old. With policies that promoted free speech and reform within the communist bloc, Gorbachev forged a new dialogue with the West. It was one that ultimately brought down the Iron Curtain that had divided Europe since 1945. His policies also helped put Germany on the path to reunification.
Mikhail Gorbachev arrived and freedom followed. When he visited East Berlin for the GDR's 40th anniversary celebrations, Gorbachev urged Erich Honecker to implement reforms. He warned the East German leader, saying, "Life punishes those who come too late." A month after his visit, the Berlin Wall fell, and with it, the Iron Curtain that had divided Europe for decades. It was Gorbachev's reformist policies that helped unleash a peaceful revolution across Eastern Europe. He laid out his agenda in his first speech as leader of the Soviet Union, a stark contrast to what had gone before.
The right to live in peace and freedom is the most important basic right of each individual.
Gorbachev wanted to change the Soviet Union, to bring it closer to the people. He promoted glasnost, openness, and perestroika, reforms, two words that will forever be associated with him. His new outlook was popular with many. His policies also applied to the military, despite the resistance of Soviet generals.
I'm convinced that we will also have to reform our military. We have far too many weapons. We have to seek dialogue with other superpowers and reduce our arsenals to a reasonable extent.
As a result of that dialogue, Gorbachev and US President Reagan signed the first of many disarmament treaties in 1987. It was the beginning of the end of the Cold War. In 1990, Gorbachev was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize for his key role in bringing about a new peaceful world order. Internationally, he was highly regarded. But at home, he was increasingly under pressure. The economic situation was dire, the Soviet Union on the verge of falling apart. Communist hardliners staged a coup against Gorbachev in 1991 and put the Soviet leader under house arrest in his holiday retreat in Crimea. One man stopped them, Boris Yeltsin, the Russian president. Gorbachev was allowed to return to Moscow, but politically he was ruined. Yeltsin banned the Communist Party and publicly humiliated Gorbachev. Shortly afterwards, the Soviet Union was dissolved. In December 1991, Mikhail Gorbachev announced his resignation. His attempts to regain political ground in the new Russia failed. Many Russians held him responsible for the demise of the Soviet Union. But while his own country turned its back on him, Gorbachev was hailed around the world as the man who helped tear down the Iron Curtain and bring about a peaceful revolution.
We want to pull in our correspondent, Roman Goncharenko, for more. Roman, we want to let our viewers know you met Mikhail Gorbachev personally. I want to talk about that in just a moment. But first, I just want to get your reaction. Like everyone around the world, we're just hearing about the passing of Mikhail Gorbachev. What did you think when you heard the news?
Well, as many, I've been expecting that because there were reports that he was very ill, very sick, and he's 92 years old when we heard that. So he was an old man, and it is no surprise. But still, this news is has struck me, I have to confess, because he's such a huge historical figure not just for Russia, but all the former Soviet republics, including Ukraine, where the war is now going on, and of course for the West, for the whole world. So his legacy is extremely important. It is actually being destroyed by President Putin at this very moment during this war in Ukraine I've just referred to.
When we talk about collective memory of Mikhail Gorbachev, there is the memory that we have of him here in the West, and there's also the memory that has been pushed inside Russia. And I dare say that those are two very different notions about Mikhail Gorbachev, aren't they?
Of course, but things change, you know. Gorbachev was a hero for the Soviet people in the late 90s and late 80s and early 90s. So he was the one who gave people freedom, who gave freedom of speech, the words glasnost and perestroika, meaning that change is coming, possible. The Soviet Union or later Russia and other republics could live in peace with the West. That was the key message. He gave people the right to travel, actually, because the Soviet Union was a closed empire, so you couldn't just go abroad before him. And millions of people are grateful for that. Later in the 90s, and when Putin came to power in Russia, the attitude changed. Most people disliked Gorbachev. They blame him for the collapse of the Soviet Union. They think that he was too soft with the West, that the West betrayed him. This is what most Russians think today. For a minority in Russia, he's still a hero, and they are still very grateful to him for giving the Russians and other peoples of the former Soviet Union just what I've just said: freedom, first of all, the right to travel, freedom of speech, democracy. So I do hope that maybe in 10 or 20 years, we don't know how Russia is developing, but I think the attitude and towards Gorbachev could change as well and come back to the roots where it all started. He is a historic figure.
And how can you imagine how Russia is going to mark his passing? I mean, he was leader of the Soviet Union. Normally, we would expect there to be some type of state funeral for someone like Mikhail Gorbachev. Is that something that you expect in a Russia that is being led by Vladimir Putin?
It is difficult to imagine a big state funeral because he's very much disliked by the majority of Russians. But you never know. There was. When Boris Yeltsin, the successor of Gorbachev as president of Russia and the first president of Russia, died, there was kind of a state funeral, but it was not so big and huge, I would say. So we could expect something like that now in this case. We do not know how Russian propaganda will try to use it, but we have to remember this war in Ukraine, I've mentioned at the beginning of our conversation, is actually about dismantling what Gorbachev created. It's about turning back the clock and trying to restore the Soviet Union by force, something which all experts I've talked to and people I've talked to are very happy didn't happen in the early 90s when the Soviet Union collapsed peacefully. And 30 years later, we are relieving a kind of that collapse with a lot of blood and dying, and this is very tragic. Actually,
Roman, talk to me before we run out of time. Talk to me about when you met Mikhail Gorbachev.
Well, he was. I was very lucky to meet him in Moscow in 2009. We were talking about the fall of the Berlin Wall in Germany and why he didn't use force at that time. And I asked him if he was pushed by maybe some military to use force, and he said, "No, I was very popular, and people supported me not to use force in Eastern Germany." And I think this is also something that Germany will remember him for, for letting the reunification happen, for letting the Berlin Wall fall. And this is his historic achievement, and he will be remembered for that.
DW correspondent Roman Goncharenko on the passing of former Soviet leader Mikhail Gorbachev. Roman, thank you.